In the spotlight tonight, the new head football coach at Washington State University. It is Jimmy Rogers. An honor to have you in studio. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. And we know the main reason you're here is because of the Washington Blitz, a big recruiting push for you guys. Can you take us a little further into that?
Yeah, I mean, we're set up kind of all across the state right now and meeting with a bunch of high school coaches and players and trying to see who fits for us at Washington State. So we spent this whole week, or we're spending this whole week, trying to get to know as many players and see as many players as possible to see if they would be a fit coming to Washington State.
And what is important in those conversations that you're having with coaches and players when you're learning about them, but also they want to learn about you?
Yeah, I think obviously they have to have the skill set to play at that level or our level, and then from that point on, it's just understanding who they are and what they're about and seeing if they have the discipline and the love of the game to join us. But yeah, it has everything to do with knowing who they are as people and trying to figure out, the foundation of what they are and what they've done to this point.
For your background, it's been impressive. I mean, you played at South Dakota State and you stayed there for a long time. Never had a losing season?
Never had a losing season, yeah.
Very few people can say that.
Yeah.
But because of that, you have the experience of what it takes to build a winning culture and to be a part of it. For you now as a head coach, what is maybe the most important thing of a winning culture?
Yeah, I think culture is how you feel when you walk into the building. All the players that come in, they got to want to be there and they got to have a certain level of spirit. But culture is how you interact, how you act amongst each other, and then how you respond from adversity. I mean, I don't think that you can test culture when things are going well. Everybody, has joy or has a passion when things are going in their favor. I think it's about responding and working through things together with people and doing things that are hard. I mean, I believe that everything that you want is on the opposite side of hard. So I'm ready for this challenge and I'm excited for the opportunity. So come spring, we're going to compete a little bit, come spring ball.
I bet. And you were unafraid to mention national championship right off the bat, wanting to say that this could be a national championship contending school and team. Why is that important for you to say and put out there?
Well, I'm just not going to accept losing. I think it's somewhat, we just had a team that's going to be in our conference here soon, make it to the college football playoff. Yeah. And if we can't see ourselves doing that, I don't know what we're doing. So I want to make sure that the guys in which we coach have a certain level of belief to them. It was one of the first things that I said. Was if you don't see yourself winning a national championship or a championship, it will never happen. You got to envision it and you got to think like that and you got to believe that far before it ever happens. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done before those things take place. Very
true, and I'm sure you're starting right away. One thing that stood out immediately in your introductory press conference early on, and then also in your post-game interview, your last game at South Dakota State, is the emotion and the loyalty it seems like you feel for your players and your coaches. And pausing and thinking and trying to hold back tears because it means so much to you. I don't think we see that enough. And in a day where we are in college football and college sports in general, the loyalty thing, it's almost hard to be loyal for these kids now just because it's been so easy to go to the next school. How do you think you want to instill, and how do you instill loyalty in this generation and the guys you want to bring to Washington State?
Yeah, I think it's, for one, getting to know and building a relationship with the players in which you get to coach more than just football. That you don't want the players to feel like they're just a number, because they're not. If you do it right, they become a part of your family and you work at something year-round to try to accomplish a common goal. But I do believe in, why I got into coaching is to try to take a player further than what he could on his own and making his goals become mine and taking pride in that. And so when you fail, like how the world kind of saw me emotional there, you feel like you failed them. And at the same time, I bet they felt like they failed all of us, and so we share that together. And I think that's what makes sports special, is the team camaraderie and fighting for a common goal. And it doesn't always go your way, but if the belief and spirit is there, there's nothing more that you can really ask for outside of the relationships that will last forever.
You've already gotten a lot of Cougs to stay that were in the transfer portal. They came back. One of them, Zevi Eckhaus, quarterbacked the Holiday Bowl game, 363 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. What have you learned about him early on in this get-to-know-you process?
I got to spend quite a bit of time with him on the phone, just talking about his experience, but also as I was trying to connect with a lot of the players just during that break, because I didn't get to have my first interaction with these players face to face. A lot of it was over phone calls or Zoom. But I would say the common theme was that the entire team felt like Zevi was an unbelievable leader and had a great spirit to him. And when you combine that with what you saw at the Holiday Bowl, I felt good about the future of where we would stand at that position just in the upcoming year with him back. And so I think for a lot of players, they were jumping into the portal for certain reasons. Maybe they wanted to test the waters elsewhere, or follow Coach Dickert to Wake Forest, all understanding things. But I think some of them were scared and nervous of the future with what was a new staff and me bringing my entire staff with me, and I understand that. I was somewhat sensitive to all of it. But talking to a lot of the players, it was really just they asked to give us a shot so we can work with you, and they'll have a brand new opportunity with this staff that will treat them the right way.
And I know right off the bat, too, you're talking about connecting current players to former players. We actually have later on this show a former Washington State Cougar defensive lineman, M. Christo Bruce. Big personality, big guy. You gotta meet him at some point. He would love to meet you. But what does that mean for you, connecting former players to current players, and why is it important?
Yeah, I think I think it's extremely important to get the former players together and interact with one another and get them to games and get them in front of the team. I believe in the experience at times for a lot of former players can get lost over time, and to get people back together and have those moments shared again of why they were Cougs, I think that's extremely important, because when you go through this college experience, what you feel like will last forever while you're doing it, it goes by in a heartbeat, and before you know it, you're moved on, you have kids, life gets busy, and you kind of miss those relationships. And I think the more that you can get the former player back together and experience those moments again, it bleeds to why it's so special to be a Coug here with the current team, and them wanting to stay to be a part of that, and being able to visually see it speaks volumes.
No doubt about it, and it just makes it feel like it lasts your whole life, those relationships like you're talking about, the friendships. Coach, it's been so fantastic getting to know you a little bit. That wraps up part one of our conversation. Pleasure. Thanks for stopping by, and good luck this season.
Thanks. Go Cougs.